Afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today at the Young Pioneers Forum, part of the UN ESCAP Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development. We are super honored to be hosting this event because we truly believe that youth perspectives need to be heard on our global journey for achieving long-term sustainable development. Today, we are very honored that we have a fantastic lineup. But more importantly, we also have two very exciting panel ideas that has been provided by the UN ESCAP team to ensure that our youth are also guided not only on innovation, but more importantly, on systems change from a Gen Z point of view. Without taking too much time to introduce our community of youth, we just want to once again say thank you, so much for the organization committee at UN ESCAP and all the supporting UN agencies, NGOs that made this fantastic virtual forum a great milestone. 2 years into COVID, how can youth take what they have learned, take what they have felt, and drive systemic change in their own communities? So to kick off, we're going to start with the first panel idea. As you can see, it's called Innovation Towards a Sustainable Future, How Youth Are Accelerating Social Impact. And on this particular panel, we are very honored to have, frankly, speakers from different parts of Asia Pacific. We have representatives from India, China, Japan, and Singapore. Without further ado, I am going to take the pleasure of inviting Mr. Aryan Trehan to unmute and give us his perspectives on how youth can drive sustainable development. The floor is yours, Aryan.
Hi everyone, I'm Aryan Trehan. I'm from grade 11 and I study in Rajan Vidyalaya in Mumbai, India. I am the founder of Sunlit. Let me start by introducing the problem statement of my organization so that you can better understand what we are trying to conquer. Millions of homes in India are yet without electricity, let alone any kind of renewable power or energy. And transitioning to a sustainable lighting system is incredibly tough to do here. There is a huge information gap within the public, which even doesn't motivate them to even take part in sustainable energy projects. And finally, the youth wish to be engaged, but at the moment, lack a pathway to do so. That's where Sunlit comes in. Sunlit is an organization that helps youth light up villages using solar appliances rather than any other kind of solar initiative. Solar appliances are especially nifty because you don't have to deal with the expenses of solar panel or any of the governmental regulations that do come with it. And it's a way where anyone who wants to help can help and has a huge pathway to do so. You can move ahead the slide if there is. Let's look at the corresponding SDGs that come with my goal. SDG number 7, because we're facilitating transitioning to a greener economy. SDG 4, quality education. Lighting is essential to education, and we strategically place our appliances all around the village so that we prioritize schools, because children working in the fields in the mornings can come in the evenings to take those extra few hours of classes that may even change their lives. SDG 17, because by allowing youth and any other grassroots communities to access the table of sustainable development and transition to green economies, we are making this a multi-stakeholder initiative, which is what causes actual change in the world. Let's look at how the solution framework works. We're currently in the first phase of our solution. We're testing out a pilot program, generating awareness about the demand for sustainable lighting. And I personally am reaching out to youth all over India to create a community of chapters that can start reaching out to smaller organizations and villages to spread the word. Once we have an influence in our country, we can move on to phase 2, partnering with local organizations and youth for fundraising. We start creating rapports with rural communities and start understanding their problems so we can tackle them in the best way. Finally, we reach phase 3, which is actually executing the program. We fundraise, we buy the essential goods and appliances from manufacturers and start installing them in villages, finally lighting up rural areas. This project increases rural resilience, lights areas that are completely remote and helps transition into a green economy, and also fosters the education of people who are in genuine need of it. All of which are goals that directly align with APFSD's key directives in the resolution proposed. That is why I'd like to conclude by thanking you very, very much for this amazing opportunity. And I hope that anyone listening to this recording would be out there who sees potential in my program would feel free to reach out to me with any opportunity of taking this forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aryan. Very excited that renewables energy is a priority for Gen Zers. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Mr. Tom Wang. Tom, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kenneth. And hi, everyone. I'm Tom. I'm from Shanghai Foreign Language School. Currently, I'm in 11th grade. I'm an advocate and enthusiast for urban studies, especially in the field of smart city design. So even when I was very young, I'm really interested in seeing buses that operate throughout the city. Today, my topic will be on smart city transport system, which is one of the projects that I'm doing with my friends. We combine urban study with computer science to create more innovative ideas. Next page, please. Thank you. So as we all know, carbon emission is actually causing a lot of global warming, and global warming is becoming an increasing problem these years that threatens the life of millions of species. And if we look at it, those big cities, those metropolitans, are a great cause and a main contributor to those carbons emitted to the atmosphere. So what I'm trying to do and what our group is trying to do is to advocate in the next 20 to 50 years to change the major cities into sustainable ones. In order for that to become true, we need every component of the city to reduce its carbon emission. The area we are focusing on is on public transportation. Next page, please. So we are trying to find out a solution that can maximize the efficiency of the bus service. In that way, we can keep less bus operating in the system at the same time, which reduce the carbon emission. As we all know, bus system is a really complicated and vulnerable system. It can be affected by a lot of external factors, like the traffic light conditions or the traffic jam, or even the number of passengers that are in the system. So without any control, this system would quickly become chaotic and inefficient after like a certain amount of time. Many traditional solutions exist to help maintain its efficiency. However, in those solutions, buses do not cooperate with each other. They do not share any information. They just follow a simple formula to operate. This is the point we want to elaborate and do more exploration on to help the system to become more efficient. The thing we do here is to use a reinforcement learning framework. Basically, we train an AI to control all the operational buses. So this AI takes in information from all the buses on the road and analyze them to come up with a maximizing efficiency solution or strategy to help them cooperate with each other. And after that, it just sends out instructions to different buses to ask them either to speed up or slow down. We test this algorithm in a environment that was simulated using Python, and to our surprise, it's really positive results. We make the system 10% more effective and efficient than the best traditional solutions. We're really excited about that, and what we're going to do next is to promote this algorithm and test it in a more realistic environment to make sure it has the potential for application. So that is basically our solution. And we hope this solution would become an innovation to reduce carbon emission of cities in the next 20 or up to 30 years before major cities adopt electric bus systems. Taking a step back, I would like to say that this solution has its own meaning in the post-COVID era we are living in, and we will still be living in for a long time. So a higher efficient bus system means that there are less people stacking together at bus stops waiting for a bus to come, and also passengers can be distributed more evenly throughout different buses. Both of these points avoid overcrowding, which slow down the spread of COVID-19. To end my speech, I would like to talk something personal. As a high schooler, me and my friends have come to realize that collective youth can really reshape the blueprint of our future by focusing and partnering on smart city initiatives. Therefore, I speak out here today to encourage more students to join us, to join the area of urban studies and smart city design, to bring in more interdisciplinary knowledge into this field to create more innovative ideas. I believe with sustainable cities, our future is secured. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, from me, I would love to retire in a sustainable, healthy, and smart city. Thank you very much. Next up, we are very happy to welcome, I love this slide, it's so colorful. We would love to welcome Mr. Nick Su. Nick, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. So good evening. At least that's where I am. My name is Nicholas Su, and I'm also in Shanghai, Tom. I'm a student researcher and founder of an online science research and communications platform called Global Student STEM Conferences. So please find the links to my platform and to my LinkedIn via the QR code on the slide. I'm honored to be here at the UN APFSD as a student panelist to share my perspective on this year's agenda. And I'm so glad that I'm following up Aryan's and Tom's speeches because mine really ties into something, the things that they have mentioned. So next slide, please. So I'm taking a more STEM approach to the solution and problem solving here. The problem statement that I'll be focusing on is that during my time as a tutor in a local cram school, like the students are surprised that I do my own research. They don't know the power that the knowledge that they learn can have a impact in creating something useful and interesting. So we want to address the problems of today. We have to develop the young, collaborative, and diverse innovators that lead the future of scientific research and discovery. We have identified a demand for rigorous research conference tailored towards a youth audience. We link this towards SDG number 9, 17, and 10. In number 9, we recognize that innovation as we promote STEM improves the world in many areas such as green energy, sustainable industrial processes, biological conservation, as well as medicine or medicinal chemistry with the research I'm working on, as well as things like urban planning, like sustainable development, like Tom was talking about. And number 17, of course, is what we really strive for here as well, is collaboration creates different perspective and accelerates problem solving. That's also what we're doing here in this forum. We're communicating, we're improving whilst communicating. In SDG number 10 is something that we're very big on at Global Student STEM Conferences. We aim to inspire diverse researchers in underrepresented minorities to bring their perspectives, bring their ideas into STEM. Next slide, please. So our solution framework is outlined here. I focus mainly on the three main aspects, three main stakeholders of our conference. So first, if I'm a student attendee, I can listen to and interact with top professionals and successful students, as well as participate in activities like competitions, debates, workshops, etc. Our conference is currently sponsored by Cambridge Center for International Research. We've had speakers from Oxford, from MIT, from Columbia University, and all around the world, from Nigeria to Cairo, to US, to China, to Malaysia, everywhere in the world. And we were joined by attendees globally as well, with 40 plus countries attending our conference, and from every single continent in the world except Antarctica, though you will be welcome to join if you're a penguin. So we're here to provide inspiration for research. We're here to provide resources for research methods, for learning STEM. We're here to promote diversity, inspire new researchers, and yeah, so secondly, as a teacher, they can use our online resources curated by students in STEM that are surrounding our conferences and competitions to promote problem solving and really real world applications of STEM. And finally, for example, I as a researcher can speak at our conference. I can talk about my own research. I can inspire other young aspiring researchers, and also I can promote opportunities for students as well. We have had student speakers that have started their own companies. We have had student speakers who've had their own patents, their own research papers published, and these are very helpful for other students to look at and learn from. So finally, to address APFSD, we're here as a product of COVID-19, as a product of online conferences, as we're offering this platform free and online to all to people around the globe. We're here to provide accessible education. We're here to provide different perspectives, to share different perspectives in science and in research, and in doing so, address sustainable problems of today and accelerate problem solving. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. I wish when I was in high school, and please don't ask me how many years ago that was, that we actually had a global STEM conference. I think my career may have changed a bit from that. So next up, we have Mr. Issin Kobayashi. And Issin, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Kenneth. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's such a pleasure to be able to have this opportunity. And so about myself, my name is Issin Kobayashi. I am currently a grade 10 student at Mita International School in Tokyo, Japan. And during my free time, I like to work on or research about topics related to SDGs and social entrepreneurship topics. And a good example is I recently graduated from the Stanford e-entrepreneurship program, which regarded on problem solving through social entrepreneurship and problems related to SDGs. Next slide, please. Okay, so the problem statement. The problem I'm trying to solve is the quality of education regarding clean water and clean energy. So as a student myself, I felt the lack of emphasis in topics related to these problems, which are all important contributors to sustainable development. And at the same time, there are many students in my community who share this sentiment. And there probably is a lot more students in other communities as well. And more specifically, I'd like to address this issue as at my previous school, which was an international school, there was a lot of emphasis and a lot of significance on topics related to SDGs and our future and the environment. However, ever since moving back to Japan, I've attended a normal public Japanese school, and here I felt the lack of emphasis. And when I talk with people, they usually aren't aware of topics related to, well, clean energy, clean water. They may be, but not to the level we want them to be. So for the corresponding SDGs, so the first one is SDG 4, quality education. This is relevant to the problem as it represents students receiving quality education, which is exactly what this project will provide. And then for the SDG 6, it is relevant to this problem as it represents the accessibility of clean water and sanitation, which is also what this project seeks to provide. And finally, SDG 7. This one is related to the problem as clean energy is our future. However, as mentioned previously, this is not commonly addressed in schools enough. Next slide, please. So our solution framework. So the first step of the solution would be to go onto or visit my website to gain further knowledge regarding what SDG 6 is in both English and Japanese. So the second step would be to exchange information about the problem and possible solutions with the people from countries that actually do face the problem, which will most likely be in Southeast Asia, or that is what I'm going to be specifically catering it towards. And through this, students would be able to understand the problem from an inside perspective of what it actually feels like, and from an outside perspective of what people think of the problem or what they think of it, or what people that aren't actually, involved in the problem feel about it. And the final step would be for the students to work together to create a project that will help solve the problem and localize solutions to create an impact. So finally, addressing the APFSD. So our solution supports the theme of APFSD as people have increased clean water usage in order to protect themselves from the pandemic. So such as, being more clean or using more water to ensure sanitation. And through this, there has been a lack of water supply regarding factors outside of sanitation. So and so this is a current problem that a lot of people face. And in addition to this, 1 in 4 healthcare facilities lack basic water services. And this usually slows down the recovery of patients. And especially in a time like this, it is not desirable. And clean and affordable water supply is very necessary and a basic need. So overall, I hope to be able to raise awareness of this topic to students all around the world. And lastly, I'd like to thank everyone for allowing me to present in front Lastly, I'd like to thank everyone for giving me such an amazing opportunity to present my ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to echo this part about clean water. A lot of people around the world take clean water for granted. We live in cities that, frankly, you turn on the faucet and just clean water comes out till no end. My little challenge for everyone today is 90-second showers once in a while, right? I've actually 5 years ago trained myself to take 90-second showers just for the sake of reducing pressure on a clean water supply. So it's easy to do simple things. Last but not least, for our panel, the first part of the Young Pioneers Forum at the UN ESCAP Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development, we have the pleasure of introducing and welcoming Yizhen Shi from Singapore. Yizhen, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. Thank you to the Organization Committee of Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development and the UN ESCAP team. I'm Yizhen Shi from Victoria Junior College in Singapore. It's my honor to be here hearing out the fantastic ideas from my fellows. But I guess as the only girl in our panel, I'd like to talk about something different. So living in a society that puts great emphasis on education, I'm aware of the importance of quality education, and I'm passionate about promoting it to the less privileged in our community. That is why I joined Project Spark, a volunteering organization that promotes educational opportunities for primary students from remote places in China. Next slide, please. But there are other groups of people facing obstacles to access the quality education, as well as professional opportunities. This brings us to the issue that I would like to address today, which is the unemployed young women in Southeast Asia, including Singapore, continue to experience gender discrimination and relative lack of access to quality education and relevant resources for them to be more competitive in applying and retaining for gainful employment. The pandemic has led to a plummet in job opportunities. According to the UN, 31% of female graduates experience unemployment, which is more than double the ratio for male graduates. The root causes behind this imbalance, besides cultural discrimination and stereotypes, is a relative lack of access to quality education to allow them to fully exhibit their potentials in the workplace. Next slide, please. So, well, what can we do about this? So I'd like to propose a few solutions to address the root of the problem, that is, to ensure their access to the internet. Nowadays, thanks to technology's development, the internet has become a treasure house of knowledge. And along with that, the disruption of COVID-19 has led to a shift to remote study and online learning. In Singapore, where I live, for example, we practice home-based learning to minimize the spread of disease. We've come to learn that the internet is an effective tool for assessing quality education. But this approach has a prerequisite, that is, to have a digital device. In some parts of the Asia-Pacific region, young girls may not even have the ability to purchase one, while in other places, such as in Singapore, people generate tons of digital waste which may still be usable. Therefore, we may set up an e-waste collection scheme in Singapore and any other Southeast Asian regions to recycle the used digital device, supply these laptops to young women in need to ensure their access to various online platforms. After ensuring their access to the internet, we can collaborate with female entrepreneurs and business professionals to develop a series of virtual workshops to provide specifically designed skills training sessions. And of course, with the access to the internet, we also open up the opportunities for them to explore more online free resources. They may sign up for courses on Coursera, edX, and explore any other channels for information. By doing so, the young girls taking our program can be more skilled and more likely to obtain the gainful employment. Zooming out to the bigger picture, we also help to narrow the unemployment gap between the males and females, maximize women's potential despite the constraint during the pandemic, add on the social productive capacity, and increase the GDP. To conclude, I would like to say that it is always difficult to overcome the gender inequality and to promote the educational opportunities. It sounds like a Herculean task, but I always believe in an old Chinese saying that is, constant drops of water outweigh a stone. So even if the issue we face is as rigid as a stone, the efforts contributed by each one of us can coalesce to be the drops of water, and hopefully one day it will outweigh the stone. So that is all from me today. Thank you so much for listening. And I would like to thank again to the organization committee of this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Yizhen. So we have gone through our 5 amazing youth panelists for the first youth panel of today. And this is where it gets a bit more fun because we get to stop sharing screen and actually get a bit of interaction going on. So please allow me to actually spotlight all our speakers so that we can have everyone equally featured. One thing about this part, interactive part, which is, and by the way, I know a lot of people has these things like, hey, you're doing this youth panel, everything must be scripted. I'm like, no, it's not. So please bring a bit of fireworks, a bit of excitement to our interactive session. So this is how it works, right? I'm gonna ask one question, and then for those of you who wish to present on this part, please, use the raise hand function of Zoom, and then we're gonna call you so you can share your thoughts, okay? My first question, actually supplied by ESCAP, thank you, right, is there are a lot of youth right now doing so many different projects, right? And one of the biggest issues is time. They're like, oh, I would really want to help Nick and Tom, but I only have, 2 hours maybe out of my busy schedule to contribute. So for each of your projects, should you like to present, how could someone with just 2 hours make a difference to your project? Okay, so yes, starting now, anyone who kind of wants to chime in, please use the raise hand function. Take your time. This is interactive, definitely not scripted. So when anyone's ready, feel free to signal me, and then I will call your name out. Right. Thank you, Nicholas, for volunteering. Nick, please go ahead.
Hello. So regarding our kind of organization, the 1 to 2 hours, that's no problem. We have writers that write resources surrounding our conferences, and they kind of have the time commitment of around even like 1 or 2 hours per week to do their tasks. And we have some very outstanding resources for people to study STEM subjects as well as explore research. But more of what I want to address with this question is like youth having like so little time to do what they want to do what they want to help, and that's also something that that I find very regrettable about like educational systems of today, and is something that I hope that I have a impact in fixing with the conference by exploring by promoting exploration of the topics that you're interested in rather than just reading from a book and memorizing from a book. And yeah.
Thank you, Nicholas. Issin, I saw your hand up earlier. Would you like to chime in?
So for my project, the main focus is to gain knowledge, and then taking action would be a later part. So I think just 2 hours of a person's time is like definitely enough to gain knowledge, which is exactly what my project is trying to do. So that would be perfectly fine for me.
Thank you. Looking forward to your website. I would love to learn more about clean water. Aryan, your hand's up. Your turn.
So, the good thing is, since I mean, a lot of you do not have a lot of time, but what we do have is a lot of community and a lot of people who are willing to help. So, although lighting up a village is a huge task and it takes hours and hours to be put in, even just spending, I think, half an hour just reaching out to your friends for fundraising or getting more people into your community and expanding your network just takes a couple phone calls or like a Google search about your local organizations. So, anyone has as much time as they can give to my organization, they can do it, and they can also ask for help. So time isn't really a limiting factor to doing an impact in this world.
Right. Thank you so much. Well, let me ask the second question, and this will be the final one. And please feel free to participate. Is one of the things that we have noticed, right? You were picked, right? Because the fact that you're actively contributing through thought, through action, and frankly, through passion into the world of innovation and sustainability. I mean, if you actually look at all the projects that you each individually are doing, there are so many ways, even within the 5 of you, that you can actually work together to drive forward sustainable development. So the question is, within ESCAP, by the way, there are so many nations within our region. There's probably like 250 million youth just within the ESCAP community. What advice, concrete advice, please, would you give to another teenager, right? Somewhere who don't know how to start their own personal journey on sustainability, who don't know where to begin giving back to this world. What is one concrete advice you can give them to get their personal journey started? Tom.
So
Go ahead.
I think the advice I would give is to definitely ask them to observe more around their like surrounding on their community, because like for me, my project starts with one of like my personal experience with a like bus service. I just waited for a long time before like 2 buses come together, and it was really a remarkable like thing to me. And from then I just noticed the problem that is existing. And that just acts as my start point to this project. And I hope like for those millions of youth out there in the world, I would definitely recommend you to really leave a eye open to your surroundings and identify the problem, no matter it's big problems or small problems that happens around you.
Thank you so much, Tom. I see Yizhen's hands up. Yizhen?
Yes, so actually my experience was quite similar to Tom, but something I would like to add on is that besides focusing on your own life, sometimes it's also very important to interact with people around you. So I live in Singapore, and it is a well-known place to be a culturally diverse society. So I made friends from Vietnam, India, and a lot of other places. So my project actually starts from when I talk to my friends, and I realized that actually a lot of us will have the similar experience, that is like in our own country, there's some problems or like some discriminations that girls generally suffered in our own place. So there was like a sudden spot. I was like, right, so how about I can do something to actually improve it? And all of my friends actually like this idea as well. So I think something I would like to say is, if you don't know how to start your project, just interact with your friends and then ask them about their opinions as well. Because after all, we live in the community, and something that you can do is always to help the community to be more sustainable as well.
Fantastic. Well, once again, thank you to our youth panelists at this particular, right? I mean, as I said, I personally wish that half of the programming, right, at this forum are youth driven. And the fact that, you know, Kids for SDGs was given the opportunity to really showcase amazing youth projects from across our region. We are very, very grateful to you and ESCAP for allowing us to do so, second year in a running. And I hope for each of the youth that presented in our first panel, you will continue your journey. You will continue growing your project, making more impact, speaking at more UN conferences, just to help us raise the profile of the importance that youth voices